And here we are, live. Well, the winter's coming. It was cold last night, about 23. And it's a sunny, beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky. I'm on the bop. Um, it's about 50, but it feels like it's 30. But right now, the wind ain't blowing, and I'm in my car, and the sun's shining. It's like 72 in here. So here he is, Saturday.
Well,
here's Jimmy.
Can I call her Cabela? You can call her Cabela. Oh, Jesus. Let's put more poor people in prison.
Yeah.
All right, so Kamala Harris went on 60 Minutes, and it was a gas. She laughed at nothing. She ran away from real issues, and she gaslighted. So let's watch.
You're very different in the policies that you've supported in the past. You're considered the most
good to
liberal
see you.
United States senator.
Love you.
And what does that tell you? What does that tell you?
So
She's
we're
the most
just about to
liberal
vote.
United States senator, a tool of Wall Street, and a cop who had to be sued to let
That's going to be
people
our
out of prison.
new president.
Somebody said that, and it actually was Mike Pence on the debate stage. But
Yeah. Well, actually, the nonpartisan.
She's just laughing again. She just cackles for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And
GovTrack has rated you as the most liberal senator. You supported the Green New Deal. You supported Medicare for all. You've supported legalizing marijuana. Joe Biden doesn't support those things. So are you going to bring the policies, those progressive policies that you supported as senator, into a Biden administration?
oh yeah, so what this news person is saying is you and Joe Biden are really different. I mean, he wrote the crime bill. You implemented it. See how different you guys are?
I thought that,
This is fake controversy.
yes, and I also thought the reason why she had to tell Kamala all the things that she was progressive on, otherwise Kamala couldn't come up with a list anyways.
Right. You're right.
Oh,
right.
You're the most progressive in unbelievable.
anyway, so there we are. And good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Our sweetheart Lana is aboard along with AI, I think. That one person who always shows up first. But Lena was right behind it. So here we are. It is Saturday here in East Coast America mountains. And tomorrow's Sunday, then Monday, then Tuesday. Tomorrow, so tonight is Halloween. Woo! Spooky, spooky. So I've been reading and writing because you cannot write unless you read. A writer reads. So I've been working on Legend, and I'm moving right along. I'm just about at page 100. You know, it's really, this is middle point. You know, everything above the middle point, I've kind of edited and gotten into a storyline that's probably going to be Legend, right? And then below is my clipboard, you know, all the things I kind of think of, I write down, and out of that, that's when I let the tips of my fingers co-create with love the storyline. So I've kind of gone into the storyline is, you know, pretty much the hero speaks from my voice, but I have put a gender on my voice as a female, and that female, because my voice is so specific, everyone when they hear me speak think I'm a male, you know, but they look at me and see a little girl, and they're always like thrown aback. And 90% of everyone in the story who bumps into this, the heroine, is enamored, loves, cares, protects, because they realize that this character is there to love, protect, and take care of them in ways they can't. And so that's the storyline. So, and she in the first 70 pages or so, she is like a shamanic priest in Carrot Land, and travels to Wakanda, to be with the happy folk, and they're little. They look like children, but they really look like fish in silk dresses and Hawaiian shirts, and their hair, is kind of very African, so it's very, naturally formed, and they weave it into hats because they have three eyes, right? And they're telepathic, and the only time that they vocalize is when they sing, and when they sing, they sound like reggae music, so you can't help but sway. And then we have our next heroine, Detective Lieutenant Double Doctor Catherine, and she's running the dead file, in Chicago. She's a person who investigates all the people who were murdered, who no one cares, that the department writes up. But because of political issues, they have to have somebody kind of, sweep up the mess. And so she's there to do that. And she's, the most decorated, the most heroic, the most educated. She's a double doctor. She has 2 PhDs, but she can't get above sergeant, even though she runs a whole department that no one else is in but her. So she does the work of about 130 people all by herself, and all the rest of the cops give her a hard time, and a few try to kill her. And she's black, a female, and she came from the military, NCIS, where she was a SEAL first, and then NCIS, and then she becomes a sergeant in the Chicago Police Department as a homicide detective, right? And when things really break down, and the powers that be want someone to solve it, like major crimes, they bring her in a group where she takes care of business. And so she has done many, many things, to the point where she was part of DARPA and part of the Men in Black, and other things that we're not told about she's done, and but in the story we're told about it, and that's what this whole novel Legend is about, to, through a novelistic point of view, take a picture of history, from alpha to the omega, and to show it's not a linear line of white accomplishment, that it's this thing, right, of experience. And right now, because of people like Howard Zinn and Noam Chomsky and 1,000 other, Chris Hedges, great investigators, scholars, who picked away at and I just named white guys. There were a ton of black guys who have done amazing scholarship, but because they're black, you don't hear about them. And what we are starting to, because there is this frame put up, the red frame, the blue frame, and we're going to have a civil war. No, Americans have more in common than they have that's against each other. And the thing they have most in common is they're fat, lazy, and stupid. They're the sheeple, right? So how about some thumbs up, guys? There's only 2. Let's see 2 thumbs up. Let's see it. And so I'm just, here it is, Halloween night, and I will write past page 100. And it's up there at xratted.blogspot.com. But the thing that is up there, when you go look for Legend, there's a couple of them, and they all keep referring to the same one. That was the beginning one, like the first 40 pages, somewhat edited. The next 120 is my clipboard. And you can see the things that were going to be generated in the next 70 pages that I've generated since. But I haven't been able to put the most recent piece of work, which I'm at to legend number 6. It's called, and every time I make a copy to start a new thing, so it will be what I've worked so far as won't get lost. So I'm at copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, legend number 6. So when that goes up on xratted.blogspot.com, you will see, that work I'm working on right now. And I think it'll be somewhere between 275 and 325 pages long, right? And if you read all the other stuff before, which would be good because it would get you used to my style of writing, and also past story, in legend, copy of a copy of a copy, legend number 6, I intimate to past stories. I'm expecting, it's all up there on xratted.blogspot.com. So I expect you to, go read it, but at your leisure. I'm not ordering you. I'm just inviting you, right? And again, I invite you to come to my the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, my Gmail account, where I do have a PayPal, which and a few of you do drop money in there, and I have to thank you for doing that, because it always comes right at the right. Now it's winter, and I only have electricity to heat with. Like last night, it was really interesting last night. So we've had a great run of Indian summer, right? So here it is, end of October, and it has been like in the 40s and 50s at night, and in the 70s, almost 80s during the day, and mostly sunny. We get a little stretch. It's like every time there's a hurricane on the coast, it bumps up into the mountains. It goes across Kentucky into Tennessee, and then bounces around like a pinball machine in our mountains. And it's not bad, but we get, 2 or 3 days of rain. And the other night, I guess it was last night, no, the night before last, Thursday night into Friday, it was really bizarre because it rained, but it didn't rain like, it didn't sound or feel like it rained any harder than it did otherwise. But when I woke up in the morning, all of my tarps were like bellowed and had like 40, 50 gallons of water in them, and that shows how great I put these things up in the trees, because the trees just bent down until the tarp was pushing against the ground, and then they kind of mushed out. But it was like it rained only in those tarps, because I looked around and there was no, things were wet, but not like that kind of wet. And that was very interesting. And my health, I've had issues with my health, but they have, just, pointed the fact of mortality, so I know we're all mortal, at least in this, bag of water, not your immortal soul, which is immortal. And that points to the fact that time isn't linear. It actually kind of begins and ends. That Big Bang, that was it, right? The alpha to the omega. And we are just experiencing it this way, so we can have the experience to learn. And that's why the concept of the Akashic record and, the yin yang symbol and reincarnation kind of makes sense, because if it's all one thing, so you have different slices, different lives, different bags of water. You're experiencing things you need to learn, good, bad, and ugly. And that's why none of them matter. All they are experiences for you to ascend into love's co-creation, which will bring you, by working together with love, into one love, right? All our relations. And these are common threads that I've been talking about for the last 2 years. And here we are, as of May 8th, last May 8th, 2020, I had, Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Albob on for 2 years. Now, we're moving into, May will be, let's say, here it is, November, December, October, no, sorry, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. 6 months from now, we will be into 3 years, right? And we're almost at 400 subscribers, 400 cadre, almost. It keeps going up, little by little, but, baby steps is the way to go, quality over quantity. So that's my report, and that took 15 minutes and 30 seconds. So, Lana, what's happening over there in Sweden and Europe? How is the pandemic going? Well, you got a big smile, 2 thumbs up, so I think things are going good, Elena. And I love you, Elena. I, try to come to you in dream time. Every time you go to sleep, just think of your Sensei Al Bob, and I will be in your dreams. And we can talk, but you can talk to me at, personally at the dudeawake42@gmail, right? And go read all of my writings at xratted.blogspot.com, like Griot Publishing, right? So we're almost done with 2020. Now, this was a whiplash year, man. But 2021 is going to have it's going to, 21 is going to make 20 look like happy days, right? So get ready, and 2022 will be the point where we can step forward and be responsible human beings to make a change for the better, where we can ascend rather than de-evolve. We don't have to be Devo. Do. Crack that whip. That's what they were talking about, They were talking about 2020 Devo, whether they knew it or not, back in the 80s. I think that's when they were. Anyway, so have a little prayer for you. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, as it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without amen. See, that's an important prayer. It's non-RCC, it's not the Roman Catholic Church prayer. It's a prayer that everyone says. And its shortened version is Father Sky, Mother Earth, Holy Spirit, bless me indeed. Enlarge my territory. Put your hands on my shoulder and keep me safe from evil, so I will do no harm. Right? So, anyway, what else can I say? So, and we just keep hearing things of this nature.
You're considered the most liberal United States senator.
Whoops. I hit that wrong button.
They didn't include low-level drug offenders in that assessment, I bet. I'll be honest, when she... Okay, let's go. Let's keep going.
What I will do, and I promise you this is what Joe wants me to do.
Oh, yeah.
This was part of our deal. I will always share with him my lived experience as it relates to any issue that we confront.
I will relate my lived experience. That's the new buzzword. My lived experience. That's the new buzzword or term. You know who else has a lived experience, Kamala? I know a guy who has a lived experience of having Steve Mnuchin steal his house from him illegally, and then you're not prosecuting him because you're a tool of Wall Street. What about that lived experience? Is that the lived experience you're going to tell Joe about? How to screw over fucking homeowners and old people in favor of the banks? Is that your because that's your real lived experience? Your lived experience of growing up privileged.
And I promised Joe that I will give him that perspective and always be honest with him. And is that a socialist or progressive perspective? No. No, it perspective of a woman who grew up a black child in America who was all.
I'll be honest. When she compared her to a socialist, I laughed pretty hard too. That's pretty cheap. So that's a solid laugh.
So a prosecutor who also has a mother who arrived here at the age of 19 from India, who also, likes hip hop. Like, what do you want to know?
Well, I want to give you the opportunity.
I don't know what she's laughing about, but she likes hip hop so much she can travel in the future to hear stuff that hasn't been released yet. Did you know that?
What do you want to know?
Maybe to address this.
Okay, ready? Here's what Aisha says. She says, I can't get over the fact that when asked whether she'd push Biden to adopt Medicare for all or a Green New Deal, Kamala Harris laughed hysterically and said no. She would be bringing her lived experience as a black woman who likes hip-hop. What an exchange to define the times. I'm surprised she didn't show us her cool shoes. I'm co-sponsoring Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All bill because healthcare is a right. Your name if you agree. Remember when she did that? Not doing that. But here she is trying to win an Emmy. Watch this.
Believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me. So I will tell you that on this subject, it can.
There we go.
Do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America?
No.
Do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well, there was a failure of
5G has barely hit the market, and already there is something more powerful, a combination of technologies that takes regular 5G
and melts your brain. That's what a lot of the tin hat folks say. And it might be true, and then wearing that tin hat might be good. So I haven't started yet, but here we are. There's now 4 of you there. There's 2 thumbs up and a gang. And so what do you want to talk about? I gave you a little heads up, go to xratted.blogspot.com and go look at Legend. It's up there. It's in its earlier form. I haven't been able to load up my most recent edit of it, but I'm working on it. And so it'll give you a good taste of what I'm working on. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that I've already written over the last 2 years up there that give you a good idea of what it is, right? What's going on, why I'm thinking, how I'm thinking, what my experiences have been, right? So that's the storyline. What else can I say? It's a beautiful day. I love you all, my cadre, my family. We're about to have a presidential election. That really doesn't matter. It hasn't mattered. I come from the school of George Carlin, and one of his main themes was, it doesn't matter. Our political structure is a club that we are not part of, And I just finished reading a book, or parts of a book called The Doctor and the Saint. And it's by this Indian from Asia who's an architect and a social activist and a writer and she's quite a interesting person, and that's her probably most famous book. She was a pamphleteer, right? Like some of our founding fathers were. And she was going on about India, being the largest democracy, which it's not. And its major party, the GDP or whatever it is, that Modi represents, came from back in the 20s, and when they were fighting to get English separation, and their most favorite European political philosophy was actual socialism, the Nazis. And they have their own brown shirts, but they're black. And it's instead of having the 70,000 that Adolf had, they have close to 40 million, and they have done things like they demonetized their country, overnight. Modi said, okay, we're not going to use cash anymore because of criminal activity, and everyone will have to do all their business over the phone, which we will be able to see totally. So we will have total transparency of your life through your financial, what you buy, where you buy it, how you buy it, no cash. And he did it in 6 hours. He announced it like at 11 p.m. on Friday, and it went into happening in Saturday at 11 a.m., give or take. And there were millions of people who didn't trust banks and kept all their cash in a mattress, and that money was worthless, And we're going to experience that, right? And it won't matter whether Donnie was just the wrecking ball. He is destroyed. But all of our institutions didn't matter to begin with because they were built on false representation and, very, quicksand foundations. And, so we've had two presidents that have won using in the last 20 years, not our whole history, but the last 20 years, two presidents, George W. and Donnie, won by the manipulation of the Electoral College. And if you go read the history of all the white men, what they wrote, and the Constitution, and what's really interesting, guys like Gore Vidal, you should go read his books. He is amazing because he has he wrote hundreds of books, and he came from a very prestigious, rich family, old school, their family went all the way back to, the times of the Puritans coming over, and every one of the men in his family would go to Harvard and would either become a senator, of the state of Massachusetts, I think that's the state he was from, or Connecticut, or he would go teach at Harvard as a historian. And so that's the path that Gore Vidal was on. And when he was a teenager, he was his grandfather's page in the Senate, right? And they have pages. And so he experienced what the Senate was, and he saw all of the senators taking bags of money in the coat room, and that's what the coat room was for. The bag man would come and hand the senator a bag, and the senator put on his coat and walk back to his office with the bag under his arm, and and that's our legislature, the best money can buy. And then we had that we're supposed to have three arms of our government that are supposed to be separate. The executive, the legislatures, and the Supreme Courts, and all the courts, and they all kind of represent themselves through the states. And that's one reason why, Donnie could win by 7 to 12 million votes, as Hillary won by 2 million votes. And Al Gore, up until the time the Supreme Court stopped Al Gore, from them counting, Al Gore was ahead by almost 2 million, and they still had another 6 million to count. And the Supreme Court said, nope, we got to stop. George W. won. So we could have Donnie. And then, but see, I love Donnie because everything Donnie says is a lie. But it's so much a lie that it goes 180 to what's going on. So when he goes fake news, he's right. All the news is owned by 6 corporations and has been. Hearst was, the fake news of his time. And before that, and before that, and before that, and back in the day, Ben Franklin was. So, and the pamphleters were. And King and whatever, they were all fake news. So that's where we're at. As I said, this is not like a linear thing where we get better and better. No, we are a bang, alpha to omega. Everything of our life's experience. It's been way longer than the 20, 30, 70, 100,000, 500,000 years the scholastics